This week's chapter of My Hero Academia once again starts off exactly where we left off last time we had the chapter, which was 2 weeks ago. We had the small 1 week break, which is okay. Horikoshi was able to rest and relax and hand us this very, very good chapter, might I add. So the chapter starts off exactly where we left off last week, with Star and Stripe basically in that small little or large explosion that Shigaraki had, where he kind of became this new person essentially, and he's not necessarily Shigaraki, and he's not necessarily All For One. It's like an entirely new being put together. But we start off right when that's happening, and Star and Stripe even responds, what's going on with his hair? It suddenly grew, and she's not really understanding why he's seemingly different now. And we do see that Shigaraki does look a lot different now. His hair definitely did grow, and he just looks different, in a sort of way. And he even remarks that he's starting to understand her quirk. And then we get a series of a couple pages where it's basically him going over how he kind of understands the way that her quirk is working right now, and he explains that um, seemingly she can put a new order on items that are inanimate or just inanimate objects that aren't living organisms way easier than she can when she uses it on an actual person. There's way more limits when she tries to use it on a person compared to if she tries to use it on just the things around her, where she can easily put a new order over them. He kind of comes to this conclusion while breaking down the fact that she isn't able to make herself, overpoweringly physically strong. He's saying that if she was able to just freely do whatever she wants to do to an organism, she would easily be able to just make herself able to one-shot everybody. You would think, she'd just be like, if I touch you, you die, basically. And she would be able to do that, but she isn't able to. So this kind of leads him to the conclusion that she can't really impose insane orders, more so on living organisms like herself and the people that she's fighting. But obviously, with things that aren't really living or they're just inanimate, she can do way, way more with those. After Shigaraki goes through this analysis, we get a panel of him where he looks very elated, and he's basically just saying, I really want to try out what it can do. And he's saying that he really wants to use this quirk so badly, and he looks so happy in this panel. But it's just it's a weird type of happiness, since he's very, very messed up in the head. And he's just saying, I can't wait, basically saying that, yeah, I'm going to get this quirk right now. And after this panel, we see a panel of Star and Stripe where she's basically saying, it does get some sort of hidden breathing apparatus on him. She then begins to get very, very serious at this point on in the fight, and she's basically, after this, the commander of the fighter jets is basically saying, what do we do now? Nothing's working on Shigaraki, and we can't really get past his regeneration with lasers or anything else. And she then tells him to convey this to Commander Akbar. And he's saying, hold on, what do you mean? Like, we can't do this. We're already acting out of line right now, even being here. We can't do whatever you're about to say. And she's saying that, they have to use it here. This is the only reason why overrides exist. They have to use their power right now. And she's basically saying that Shigaraki isn't just a Japanese threat. He's a whole worldwide threat right now. And that he has to go down right now in order for him to finally be rid of the entire world. Like, they have to get him now, or this is going to be like their last chance. And if they let him get away after this, that could spell trouble for the future, which is very true, honestly. I also think it's interesting how in this line of dialogue where she's saying that they have to get him now, that she says that she's gonna pulverize him in a way that she knows would be illegal in Japan. I find that kind of interesting, and not really funny, but that's super interesting how she specifically says, yeah, this would be very, very illegal in Japan, so we should do it now just in case he does go back to Japan and we can't do it over there. That's just really interesting, and it's really cool when we do get to see what exactly she was going to end up trying to do with Shigaraki at the end of this chapter. After this, we get a cool panel with her, and she's basically telling the pilot that, it's whatever, just let me use you as a foothold until we get back to the ground, my brothers. And he's saying good grief, and he's just basically thinking back to what I'm assuming is like their first introduction of Star and Stripe, and, things, she was looking happy back then, her hair was down, and this is probably just showing just how much they have all been through together, to where, like, even though they know this is probably a bad idea for her to be breaking the rules like this, and they could also get in trouble for doing this, they're just gonna go along with her because they respect her so much. So this gets us into what I would say is kind of the second part of this chapter, where we just see the absolute scale of this fight and how it's almost kind of insane when you think about how the story started off, to where we are now in terms of the scales of the battles, because this is insane what Star and Stripe is doing to Shigaraki at this point in the chapter. So after she starts reminiscing, or the pilot reminisces about the past with her, he says, move out of the way, this is Star and Stripe's foothold. And she gets to the front lines of everything, and she's basically saying that there's nothing they can do now, and we have to engage and counterattack. And she uses a new order, and she says the atmosphere shall solidify to become 1,000 times my size. And then we see that she basically creates the atmosphere into this huge Titan-looking figure of herself, and she says fist bump to the earth. And seemingly Shigaraki can't see this since it is the atmosphere. It's not like you can necessarily see it, but obviously as the readers, we get to see a visualization of what what she made the atmosphere become, and it's literally just a giant version of her. And Shigaraki saying he can't see anything, but something strange is, and he gets cut off before we see her move her arm, and the actual atmosphere arms also moves, and we see her punch Shigaraki with just a Titan arms, huge. They're up in the clouds, and we see this huge version of her just punch him and send him flying, absolutely flying far away. And it's just insane, the scale of the fight right now, compared to what we were getting back in the beginning of the stories, and even some of the stuff that we got recently. This is very insane. And she also does a literal clap onto him with both of the Titan arms, mind you, and this isn't even really enough to get rid of Shigaraki. And she says that he's hard as hell, and he's still alive right now. He isn't down, but you can definitely see that he's taking a lot of damage here. And seemingly before Shigaraki will have any time to react or regenerate from this, she instantly tells all of her pilots to fire all their lasers at her. And she then takes in all these lasers, she hardens and concentrates them, and she makes like this huge lightsaber looking beam of light, and she uses that to literally smite Shigaraki from up in the air. And the beam right now is called ultra high power unification laser. She literally picks it up and then she stabs it into Shigaraki and sends him flying back down the way that he came up. Some of the fighter pilots are then saying that he's sure to burn up right now after being hit by this, and Star and Stripe then says no, this is only just keeping him in place. And she also remarks that, if this is enough to take him down, then Endeavor would have definitely done it during the fight that they had with him in the War Arc, which was showing, she does respect Endeavor, and she does know that Endeavor is very strong. And if Endeavor, using his full power Prominence Burn at the time, wasn't able to really do anything to Shigaraki, then this definitely wouldn't be able to take him down right now. We start getting into the final panels of the chapter, and this mysterious figure called Akbar then says, Star, responding to her, and she says, Akbar-san. And he's saying that, I've gotten negligent dealing with your selfishness, and he says, however, this time, it won't end with just your hero license getting revoked, basically showing that, what she did just now, stepping out of line and going after Shigaraki by herself, was very bad, and she definitely should not have done that. But obviously she's not really thinking of that right now. She just wants to get rid of the threat as soon as possible, and she felt that she was going to be able to do it right here and right now. Of course, she just shrugs this off and tells him, do whatever you want, and she just wants to know if all of the preparations are done right now. And Akbar says you only have one shot, and Jimana's already contacted. It should be arriving pretty soon, and she says perfect. And then we get to see the side profile of this Akbar, and he kind of looks I heard some people saying that he kind of looks like a character from Star Wars. Mind me, I don't know too much about Star Wars, but from the clips that I have seen, he does look very Star Wars inspired. But then he says, you don't abide by any rules, you're selfish and hasty, and he says, yet that's the reason why our country shines. And he says that even All Might couldn't capture this villain, and he says that it's your time to surpass him, Kathy. We then cut to a panel with a picture showing All Might holding the sister that he saved in that accident a long time ago. And then Akbar says that the name is Tiamat, and he says to make sure every single one count. The last panel is of these so-called missiles or nuclear warheads or whatever they are, and they're called New Model Hypersonic Intercontinental Cruise Missiles, Tiamat. And I'm assuming that they're more powerful than your average missiles, since they literally were going to get in trouble if they did this on Japanese soil. And they're headed straight towards the fight with Star and Stripe and Shigaraki, and that is the end of the chapter right now. And what can I say other than this was a very, very good chapter, and I very much enjoyed it. I think Horikoshi really did his best with this chapter, and I very much enjoyed the fight, and that was just crazy, the scale of the fight that was going on with Star and Stripe and Shigaraki, where she was literally making herself become the size of a titan and then literally hitting Shigaraki around like he was just a baseball. And yeah, I think this chapter was just amazing, honestly. I'm not really sure what to expect next week. I don't know what these missiles are really going to do or how much damage they're really going to be able to do to Shigaraki, but this is showing that technology in the world of My Hero is pretty advanced. It's able to keep up with the quirks themselves, obviously, so, that's pretty cool. And just let me know what you guys thought of the chapter this week, and let me know what you guys think will happen next week. I'm very much not sure. I don't know what could happen, and honestly, I'm just gonna be surprised either way. So let me know what you guys thought. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe since it really does help me out. It really does, and I would very much appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.